During the late 80s to the early 2000s, hip hop legend LL Cool J had a great run in music, having released 9 albums that were either certified gold or platinum, won 2 Grammys, and then branched into movies and television, starring in the sitcom In the House that ran for 5 seasons, starring in movies including Deep Blue Sea, Halloween H2O, 20 Years Later, Any Given Sunday, and Deliver Us from Eva. LL Cool J is part of a group of hip hop artists that built an acting career without having to start using his government name. LL Cool J's music gained momentum during that time. The mid 2000s is a different story. My name is Sio Koroba, and welcome to my channel about stuff that I like to talk about, like a well-known and respected hip hop artist that went through a period during the 2000s where his albums underperformed. The albums were 10, The Definition, Todd Smith, and Exit 13, and the factors, in my opinion, behind those albums underperforming. This video is part of my underperformance series, where I talk about albums created by well-known recording artists that did not perform well compared to other work in their catalog. If you like R&B and some hip-hop music from the 2000s, stay tuned. Let's get into it.
This is gonna be it. This is it right here. Check it out. Loud. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years.
LL Cool J helped hip-hop music reach the mainstream audience. His debut album Radio was released in 1985 when hip-hop music was still in its infancy. The album sold over 500,000 copies within its first 5 months of release and was certified platinum 3 years later. He is one of the first hip-hop artists to experience commercial success, besides Run DMC and Kurtis Blow. His catalog consists of hits that have become classics, like Doing It Well, Mama Said Knock You Out, Round the Way Girl, Rock the Bells, I Need Love, and Going Back to Cali, just to name a few. He is still touring and releasing music. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame back in 2021 and has released 14 albums. That is a huge feat for a hip-hop artist. But even the GOAT experiences a plateau that causes a change in direction.
I just want you to fantasize and imagine this shit, you know what I'm saying?
After the 90s came to an end and the 2000s started, LL Cool J released the album GOAT, Greatest of All Time, on September 12, 2000. It was his first album to debut at #1 on the Billboard's Top 200 Albums chart. The first single from the album was Imagine That, and the song was like the sequel to his earlier hit Doing It Well, and featured the same female rapper that was on the original song, LaShawn. I like the music video for that song because he was making fun of himself. His name stands for Ladies Love Cool James, and he was poking fun at his status as a ladies' man by being put in situations where the women were bossing him around instead of falling for him. He also made an appearance at the beginning of the Charlie's Angels movie and starred in the movie Kingdom Come. I will say that I heard Imagine That on the radio. I did not hear the second single, You and Me, that featured Kelly Price on the radio, and there weren't any more singles after that. Imagine That peaked at number 98 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 16 on the Hot Rap Singles chart, and number 46 on the Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart. And You and Me peaked at number 44 on the Billboard's Hot Rap Singles chart, and number 59 on the Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart. This is moderate success compared to the performance of his previous albums at the time, so it seemed like the momentum of his music was slowing down, and in my opinion, this is one of the reasons. A new decade always brings a new sound, and new artists emerge, letting you know that a new decade has started. In the early 2000s, Southern hip hop was emerging, with newcomer Ludacris, the Cash Money Millionaires, and Outkast experiencing mainstream success, leading to Southern hip hop taking off throughout the rest of the decade. St. Louis hip hop artist Nelly and the St. Lunatics were producing hits, putting St. Louis on the hip hop map. So hip hop was no longer just being dominated by hip hop artists from New York. The landscape was changing, and on October 15, 2002, LL Cool J released the album 10, signifying a milestone in his career because this was his 10th album. I remember LL Cool J looking different when I saw the Love You Better music video, maybe because he was wearing his signature Congo hat again. Love You Better is a good song. I didn't realize that it's a Neptunes beat until later, but it's the second single, All I Have, a duet with Jennifer Lopez, that took off, and that song still gets played on the radio till this day. The third single, Paradise, was okay. There was also a fourth single, Amazing, that I did not know about. Love You Better was a top 10 hit, All I Have was a #1 hit, and the album 10 was certified gold. So LL Cool J was still holding his own despite hip-hop music changing. However, both of Nelly's albums sold 17 million copies altogether. Both of Ludacris's albums that he released at the time sold 6 million copies total, and Outkast's album Stankonia sold 5 million copies. So the hip-hop music landscape at the time consisted of variety, including a 15-year-old from Columbus, Ohio that was signed to So So Def Records. LL Cool J was the first artist signed to Def Jam Records. There was a time when he was synonymous with the label because he was their main artist. During the early 2000s, other artists that were signed to Def Jam started taking off, particularly Ja Rule, Jay-Z, DMX, and Ludacris. There were now other artists that were also carrying the label, and these artists had their own record labels under the Def Jam umbrella that consisted of artists that were also successful. LL Cool J released The Definition on August 31st, 2004. The album peaked at number 4 on the Billboard 200 albums chart, selling 173,000 copies during its first week of release, and this is his biggest first week sales so far. The first single from the album is Head Sprung. Produced by Timbaland. The song peaked at number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 4 on the Hot Rap Songs chart, and number 7 on the Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart. The song did well on the charts, but I didn't hear it on the radio much, and maybe that's because of the area that I'm in. If I was in Los Angeles, New York, Atlanta, and even Houston, I probably would have heard the song more. The second single was Hush. I like the song because it sounded like a throwback LL Cool J joint from his earlier work in the 80s. I heard that song on a particular radio station that played pop hits, and that was it. I didn't hear the song on the R&B and hip hop radio station in my area, and again, it was probably because of the local radio market. The song peaked at number 26 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 11 on the Billboard Hot Rap Singles chart, number 14 on the Billboard Hot R&B Hip Hop Singles chart, and was a top 10 hit in the United Kingdom. The song did pretty good on the charts, but that was the last single released from the album. I'm not sure why. Maybe because the 2 singles that were released did not reach the top 10. The album would go on to be certified gold. By the time Todd Smith was released on April 11, 2006, Jay-Z became president and CEO of Def Jam Recordings 2 years prior. In 2005, Jay-Z signed newcomer Rihanna to the label, and she released Pon de Replay that same year. That became a top 10 hit. She released SOS and Unfaithful a year later. SOS became a number 1 hit, and Unfaithful became a top 10 hit. Jay-Z signed Kanye West to Rockefeller Records, that was part of Def Jam, in 2002, and by 2006, Kanye released 2 albums that both went triple platinum and won him 4 Grammys. The careers of 2 of the artists that Jay-Z signed were taking off. Todd Smith debuted at number 6 on the Billboard 200 and number 2 on the top R&B hip-hop albums and top rap albums chart. The first single from the album was It's LL and Santana, What You Want. I couldn't find chart performance information about that song. The only single that I'm familiar with from the album is the Jermaine Dupri produced Control Myself, featuring Jennifer Lopez.
You got what it takes to make me leave my man.
It's hard to control myself. It's hard to control myself.
And Freeze, featuring Lyfe Jennings. I couldn't find chart performance information about Freeze neither. Control Myself peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. It's a great song, accompanied by a great video, and the dances in the video were solid. The album would go on to be certified gold, and according to an article from HipHopHero.com, LL Cool J felt like he was being ignored and the focus was being placed on pushing new stars, and that was painful. There was also rumored to be beef between LL Cool J and Jay-Z over the lack of promotion for the Todd Smith album, but LL Cool J has since clarified that there is no real beef, and the issue was a difference in opinion regarding the album's marketing strategy. LL Cool J decided to leave the label that he helped build after completing his 13-album record deal with the release of the album Exit 13 on September 9, 2008. The album debuted at number 9 on the Billboard 200, number 3 on the top R&B hip-hop albums chart, and number 2 on the top rap albums chart. 4 singles were released from the album: Cry, Rockin' with the GOAT, Baby featuring The Dream, and Feel My Heartbeat. I remember seeing the music video for the song Baby, but I don't remember hearing the singles from the album on the radio. The album did not attain a certification, and LL Cool J took a break from recording music after leaving Def Jam. It seemed like he lost interest in making music after dealing with issues at the label during the mid to late 2000s. LL Cool J played an integral role in Def Jam Records becoming the record label for hip-hop before other record labels started signing hip-hop artists. It's like the loyal employee being moved back while the new employers are being pushed forward. We appreciate what you've done, but we're going to start focusing on what other people are doing. What was happening at the label affected his ability to do what he loves to do, his passion since he was 10 years old. After leaving a place where you made a name for yourself because you did not like how you were being treated, who wouldn't feel some type of way? He did not record another album until 2013 with Ambition, and re-signed with Def Jam in 2019, releasing The Force on September 6, 2024. Just like anything else in life, nothing in music stays the same. It's always changing. A new generation of listeners emerge, listening to artists that are creating music that they like, and nobody's above this change, including LL Cool J. During the 2000s, younger hip-hop artists came up that were more than likely inspired by LL Cool J, and LL Cool J was being seen as the artist that paved the way for them. The younger listeners at the time were listening to the younger artists more, and the people that have always been listening to his music continued to buy his albums. Despite the change in the music, LL Cool J did not try to be like the younger artists because he created the blueprint that younger artists were trying to follow. Hip-hop artists are comfortable performing shirtless because of LL Cool J. Hip-hop artists create songs for the ladies because of LL Cool J. And it is normal for a hip-hop artist to cross over to the mainstream audience because of LL Cool J. LL Cool J emerged from the downturn that almost stopped him from making music altogether, and it appears that he will continue to make music for as long as possible. If you enjoyed this video, check out my Music Lovers playlist that includes a video about a music challenge created by DJ Cassidy that helped us get through the pandemic, and another video about how music legend Celine Dion helped Las Vegas. You can also check out my other playlist that includes videos about pop culture moments that I remember the most from the late 90s to the early 2000s, and you probably remember as well. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.
We're so in love when we hug, we become paralyzed. Our bodies explode in ecstasy unreal. You're as soft as a pillow when I'm as hard as steel. It's like a dreamland, I can't lie, I've never been there. Maybe this is an experience that me and you can